and welcome to the 2016 United Nations Climate Change Summit, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to view our presentation. We are the delegation from India. We represent the government and the greater interests of India. India is a federal parliamentary democratic republic. That means that the President of India, currently Pranab Mukherjee, is the head of the country, and that India also has a Prime Minister, who is the head of the government, and that's currently Narendra Modi. Modi is from the Bhutia Junta Party, or BJP for short. We, the Delegation on Climate Change, act on behalf of the Indian government, and therefore represent the people of India. We are the largest democratic country on earth with 1.25 billion people. That means we account for 17% of the world's population and makes us the second most populous country on earth, only behind China. As a very honest democracy, that is a democracy with very little election corruption, it is fair to say that we are very accountable to the people of India and represent their interests accurately. India, as a country, is geographically located on the Indian subcontinent and encompasses 3.28 million square kilometres of land, making us the 7th biggest country in terms of landmass on Earth. India spreads from the coast of the Indian Ocean right up into Kashmir and the Himalayan mountain ranges. We share borders with Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar and Bangladesh. And we have an ocean border, the Indian Ocean, that runs over 7,500 kilometres long. Our location is an important thing to consider, especially in relation to climate change, snow melt, melting ice caps and rising oceans.
Reducing carbon emissions to stop the warming of the planet is very important to us, and we have developed several initiatives to contribute to the solution ourselves. However, we believe the responsibility should not fall primarily upon us, as the constraints against us are far higher than those facing other nations. The survival of our large population relies on the jobs created by production of goods and materials, all of which require emissions to function. By cutting emissions, we would cut output and lower the already dangerous living standards of the Indian citizens. Our priority is the highest well-being possible for the people, and our already starving populace will be far more affected by any reductions than the Western countries. Any binding mitigation commitments should be taken up by industrialised countries, while developing nations should be allowed to grow economically before contributing. Our political leaders are under pressure to support the livelihoods of the people they represent and are held very accountable for their actions. Should they choose to support carbon reduction schemes over the production that keeps the citizens and their families alive, their popularity will be severely affected, and the potential to be voted out would increase. Though we are currently making efforts to convert to more renewable energy as much as we can, we are in a disadvantaged position in comparison to those countries with fewer people and less poverty. Our economy is also largely affected by the competitive market between us and our bordering countries such as Pakistan or Nepal. Should we reduce our output, we would suffer even more job losses through being superseded by the other countries not committed to emission reduction. Our priority has been to raise India out of poverty, and to do so we have required the massive expansion of coal-fired power. Building our economy is of utmost importance for our survival and does remain a necessity. We will not commit to an absolute reduction, but we will address the rate at which we are producing greenhouse gases. Despite these constraints on our ability to reduce emissions, we believe it is necessary to make changes in our country to create a more sustainable future. However, our preliminary estimates quote $2.5 trillion as the required fund to put our plans into action. This cannot be taken from our populace, and we seek international help to reach our goals.
With a population that consists of 1.3 billion people and thousands of manufacturing companies and industries nationwide, it comes as no surprise that India is the 4th highest country per capita, being the 3rd highest country to pollute in outright tonnes. Despite being a developing country, India has never been in the position of being a major polluting nation, and therefore cannot be blamed entirely for global warming. However, it is fair to admit that the country has contributed and is willing to help reverse climate change. It has become general knowledge worldwide that India has major manufacturing companies which produce magnitudes of tons of pollution annually. In the past, the country has been very poor, with millions of citizens being in poverty, malnourished and uneducated. The growing manufacturing is allowing more civilians to have jobs, therefore they are able to support their families. However, despite factories being a major contributor to global warming, they are not entirely to blame. Surprisingly, cows, goats and other livestock are major contributors and are often overlooked as major polluters. India is home to approximately 485 million livestock, which all produce copious amounts of methane. Many of these animals inhabit major cities, adding to the magnitude of pollution which factories are already producing. India already has an extremely humid and warm climate in the summer months. Therefore, the effects of climate change significantly impact on agriculture. This will inevitably affect the economy and trade, with the possible increase of approximately 4 degrees Celsius. The Himalayan snowcaps have been slowly retreating over the past century, and with the slight increase of approximately 3 degrees in temperature, it threatens the Himalayas' reliability to attached rivers. In particular, the rivers Brahmaputra, Ganges and Indus. The melting of the ice would impact irrigation and agriculture, thus threatening the livelihoods of people in surrounding villages. Approximately 749 million people would be affected in the surrounding areas of all 3 rivers.
The Indian government has stated that its sole focus and priority is on poverty reduction and expanding access to energy within the country. Reducing emissions is not a priority for India. However, we have agreed to voluntary reduction target but will not sign a legally binding contract. However, renewable resources such as solar power and hydroelectricity systems may benefit in the reduction of emissions and climate change, whilst helping to expand India's access to energy without affecting their goal of reducing poverty. India's current Environmental Minister and Prime Minister have started policies which encourage solar power throughout India. Prime Minister Modi has promised investments that would significantly increase production for renewable resources. With the help for Selco, a solar electric light company in India, Mr. Kaila and 10 other village households in Karnataka, India have made the switch to solar panels and batteries and have greatly benefited from this transition. Now his wife can better see how much spices she is putting in as she cooks, and Pratima, their 18-year-old daughter, can study long after dark. This transition to solar power is both beneficial to climate change and expanding access to energy throughout India. Selco systems typically include a small panel connected to a battery that stores enough power to run 1 or more lights, phone chargers, and with higher wattage options, some small appliances. Selco India has sold 318,400 solar home systems and has provided power systems to almost 10,000 schools, hospitals and other institutions. This transition to solar power is one of the best solutions to climate change in India. Domestic India's power consumption is starting to turn green through hydroelectricity systems. Large hydropower development in India is resisted by local community, environmentalists and NGOs due to deforestation and resettlement issues. However, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has vested with the responsibility of developing small hydropower plants throughout India. Small hydropower plants can help decrease CO2 emissions by submitting energy sources based on fossil fuel and also contribute to poverty alleviation and economic development in rural and remote areas of the country. In India, small hydropower plants potential is estimated to be about 20,000 megawatts, which is equivalent to 20 gigawatts and is revising upward continually. Small hydropower plants are also one of the best solutions to climate change and are both beneficial to the environment and expanding access to energy without affecting India's goal of reducing poverty.
India is emerging as a key actor in climate negotiations. Since the beginning of climate negotiations in 1991, India has been a mouthpiece for the developing nations. We share the same principle of common interest but differentiated responsibility ideology. With other developing countries, our position is very similar to that of China. Among other further developing countries, we, along with China, Brazil and South Africa, who are other members of the BASIC group, have agreed in 2009 to voluntary emissions reductions. So we align ourselves closely but not exclusively with them. Our position is very differentiated to that of the super developed countries. We do not align or agree with developed countries, especially that of the United States.